I look at Tobias Harris right now, and you brought him up a couple minutes ago, so I'll start there. 14.5 points is the total for points scored for Tobias in Game 3. The over priced at -130. KJ, his last 6 straight games, he's gone over that number. All right, Tobias Harris has had a nice season for Philly. The series shifts back at home. I expect the other guys to step up. And Tobias, he gets paid $190 million, but he is the other guys on this team. I think he's going to get over 20. I think Maxi's going to have a big night as well. So that's one of my player props I like amongst a few. But do you have anything that stands out? Or
I would take the under on Tobias Harris because when you're at home, it gives the flexibility of other guys to step up. Maybe a Melton prop, maybe over 8.5, somewhere in there points, because somebody's going to deliver that isn't going to be required to. You probably see a resurgence from James Harden, so I would probably look at an over on him, and probably a slight under on Embiid, just because I think what they figured out from Game 2 is this. We don't need Embiid to do everything to win it. So you get back home, and if he's able to do some things effectively at the start of the game. Oh, man, there's a steal right now for the Nuggets on the money line at +155. You best believe this game is going 3-0. Hey, if you want to play any value money, wait till Game 4 for the Suns when they'll be like, okay, we got to salvage one. Because with no Chris Paul, it almost certainly eliminates what you can attempt to do with DeAndre Ayton, who I've always thought if he wasn't a factor, then the Suns would not be a factor against Denver. Right? You've got to – I have this belief that you've got to make superstars work on both ends of the ball. The offense for them, they're going to try and get it. But can you make them defend to make their offense a little tougher? And DeAndre Ayton has not been able to do that. And here's the other thing that makes Denver so dangerous, and I think this is why they go up 3-0 in this game, is Bruce Brown is just one of those sneaky guys that just is always around the action and making things happen, and he's coming off the bench. Phoenix has nobody coming off the bench that does anything remote to that. So, we're at the point now where Booker and KD both have to give you at least 30, 32 just for this team to be in it tonight. And that's going to be exerting. So that's a lot of offense that they've got to produce. What do you do about Jokic? And you've got these wing guys in Gordon and in Porter Jr. who just seem to do what they need to do correctly when it needs to be done. And next thing you know, they're winning the game. You're like they're proving that, hey, you can be the okay-looking person in high school knowing that at the end of the day, when you're an adult, you're going to be the best-looking one and get married to the championship. That's what's about to happen to Denver right now because Porter and Gordon, these are guys that do not scream, hey, that's the first person I picked for a team. But without them, Denver wouldn't have that identity of, like, how did they beat us?
Obviously, I think three-pointers in the Golden State Lakers series is just going to be a thing. What was done in Game 2 for Golden State is going to continue. But I am fascinated at, again, Kevon Looney rebounds has been a thing. He had 8 rebounds in 12 minutes. If there's actually a fourth quarter to be played in Game 5, I think Kevon Looney, whatever that number ends up being, if it ends up being around, even if with him coming off the bench, 9.5, 10.5, around that area, I'm probably still going to play that over because just his efficiency when he's in the game is crazy. So that's something that I've definitely been looking at. And then also, same with Draymond assists. It's just things that I've been relying on in these playoffs that still ring true in a lot of types of outcomes within each game. So Draymond's going to get those potential assists. Like in Game 1, he only had 7 assists, but he still had 21 potential assists. It was just guys weren't necessarily hitting their shots as well. He probably would have had a triple-double if they let him play further into the fourth quarter, and he could have even hit that 12-plus assists, which I believe was at about 11-1. So those are things where maybe you ladder some of those along with the Looney rebounds, even if he is only going to be around 20-ish minutes. I think those are things where there is some value. Even if the Lakers end up winning the game, those are things that the Golden State Warriors are clearly banking on, is just Draymond being able to do his thing. Obviously, him and Steph are handling all the playmaking responsibilities. And then when Looney is in, they trust him to be the guy that's going to get the rebounds.
Jacksonville Jaguars over 10.5 wins. It's now down to plus 120. At one time, it was at plus 200, and it's going to be by the skin of their teeth, but I could see it. Here are their opponents at home: Tennessee, Indy, Houston, Baltimore, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Carolina, Kansas City, 49ers. I would say Tennessee, Indy, Houston, that's 3. Atlanta's 4, Carolina 5. Then you go to their away opponents, right? So you're like, oh boy, Tennessee, Indy, Houston, that's 8. Cleveland, it's a push. New Orleans, yes, that's 9. Tampa is 10. Steelers or the Browns, if they beat one of them, they also have the Bills. Steelers or Browns could get you to 11. So I'm thinking they can get to 11, but as the season starts to roll in, and as you probably see, one of those teams that I think is Cleveland going to be for real? Is this a team that's not who you think that's only going to be better because Deshaun Watson's there another year, but it doesn't translate? It's Pittsburgh still kind of in a rebuilding situation. So it'd be interesting how some of these teams start to develop. We don't know when they play these teams just yet. We don't have the dates out for them yet. But that puts them right at 11. And if they can win both Cleveland and Pittsburgh, then it puts them at 12. So if you're really daring, if you can even get another number to push them at over 11.5 and see them go 12-5 in a division where everything is a rebuild. I think they win all of their divisional games. I don't see, unless I think maybe they bump into an issue with Tennessee if you still get classic if you get a classic running game out of Derrick Henry, but you just don't know how many of those are still left in him. So Jacksonville, I think they're a team that I don't know if they'll go undefeated at home. They've got Kansas City coming there. They've got San Francisco coming there. And I can't sit there and say, yeah, just because they're the home team, I favor them. But you just never know. They do some weird things there in Duval County. It's like things get missing, teams being tossed to the alligators there. So Jacksonville's going to be really tough, and they may be fun to bet because there was no value in betting for them in the past.
Yeah, I bet them to win the division last year at a big number. But now we look at this win total, and that's a big number. I mean, 10.5 for me, it doesn't leave me too much wiggle room on a team that I like. I think they're going to be even better than what we saw last year. You have another year under Doug Peterson. You saw the transformation with the young quarterback and Trevor Lawrence. So I think that's a team to obviously circle, highlight, keep an eye on entering this year's NFL season.